Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the All-Star Wrestling review for the 6th of March, 1976. Loving going back through these old shows, hoping they add as many as they possibly can of what's available in the WWE archive. But amazing stuff here. The old Hamburg Fieldhouse. Crusher Jerry Blackwell is here yet again, and I did not realize Blackwell was here as long as he was. He runs about just under 5.5 minutes in this particular contest and brawling down on his man here. Blackwell defeating Al Williams 5:23 with a leg drop. I mean, not a match that you're going to write home about in five-star classic sense by any stretch of the imagination, but that's not what it was ever intended to be. Blackwell, lots of brawling, lots of punching, and Williams, who tries to fight back, but a guy 370 to 90 pounds legitimately, certainly in the 70s, was protected, and so he barely even left his feet. Some elbow drops and splashes and such from him. Also trying to get a leg lock is the wonder that is Crusher Blackwell. Blackwell again, of course, having the majority of his luck in the AWA deal, and so we see him hit a leg drop, a la, almost like a Hulk Hogan style leg drop. Not nearly as athletically motivated, but still, same basic concept: squish, squash, and gone is that individual. Then we come back with Bobo Brazil. Bobo, a pretty regular feature here in the 75-76 time frame here in the WWF, and certainly, that's kind of their U.S. champ Bobo Brazil defeating Johnny Roz 5:16 with a Cocoa Butt. Cocoa Butt just a headbutt. Five and a half or 5.25 minutes, a little bit over, is what this match brought to the table. Match is serving a purpose in terms of getting the on-again, off-again U.S. champion at the time on the card. Of course, the U.S. Championship sanctioned mainly in the Midwest. The Intercontinental Championship 3 years away from formation. I actually prefer less championships, not more. Interesting thing that Bobo manages to take the arm of his opponent across the knee and kind of stays on him pretty aggressively, assertively, kicks and basic stuff there. The adversary does take Bobo down for a couple of minutes, and Bobo, using that bottom rope to his advantage in the sense of laying on the rope, getting an advantage for a couple of minutes. Bobo, though, does come back and manages to beat Rods with the Cocoa Butt. Some talk with Lou Albano and Classy Freddie Blassie about their working together. Dissension between the two of them, although it's not really clear the level of dissension that exists. Albano trying to out-talk Blassie. Blassie trying to calm things down a little bit. We continue to go in the direction of Vince McMahon getting overpowered by the verbal stylings of both of these individuals, and then kind of go there. We also see Stan Hansen with Freddie Blassie with defeating Bobby Shaffer 257 with a lariat. Hansen and Blassie get interviewed at ringside. The tease for Bruno and Hansen is here all the way in 76, and ultimately that is a pretty big deal. Stan Hansen, of course, becomes mainstay in Japan and throughout the U.S. Of course, former AWA champion, among other things. Stan Hansen here, though, kind of the epitome of a hoss fighter. Freddie Blassie with a very vibrant jacket here in 1976. Slow down of the match, which is a little surprising in a 3-minute match. But the lariat gets a victory for Stan Hansen, and Hansen looks to be in the best possible shape he can be. We move on to more action here. In this particular edition, we move to Pete Sanchez and Johnny Rivera. Very classic, basic match here. Sanchez and Rivera usually utilized as underneath talents for the majority of their stays, but every once in a while you'd see matches like this where you'd get, a competitive match for both of them. Sunset flip small package by Rivera leads in a positive direction there. Arm bars, takedowns, head scissors, and the like. Very basic match. Matches like this I love, though, because it seems like every spot, which none of them need to be crazy, all of them have a purpose, and that is what leads them to be good or better than much of today's stuff. Because, guys come up off of, flip dives, pile drivers, and all this now, and don't even acknowledge any pain. But battle for a win and a sunset flip, a pretty big deal here. Interesting that we see something very unique to close the program, and that is a 7 minutes, something like that. Billy White Wolf defeating Skandarakbar in 8 minutes 37 seconds. Akbar shoves the referee Dick Worley. White Wolf clears Blassie from the ring and is interviewed briefly by Vince McMahon. White Wolf eventually becomes General Adnan later in the WWF lore, early 90s. And Skandarakbar, most people know as a manager, but he actually had a 20-year wrestling career before he became settled in Texas and became a pretty consistent manager. Did not know that he had time in the New York territory. So learning that here, actually loving going back and watching stuff before I was even born, just learning history. And that's something that I think a lot of people miss, is the history of pro wrestling and the guys and girls that paved the way for people to live their dream today and quite often disrespect it by making wrestling look like a mockery over what it once was. In any event, Skandarakbar does take a good bit of punishment. He does a lot of stalling throughout the match, doesn't get nearly as much as he thinks he's going to get out of the process here. Trapezius hold, among other things, trying to get every advantage he can. Eventually, Blassie is run off by White Wolf. White Wolf actually a babyface at the time, which is bizarre to me, and Blassie gets nailed in the process. Akbar takes the loss, and that will close the program. We'll be back with more right after this.